from the crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 89 of Dads from the Crypt, a Tales from the Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
And Mondo.
Hello.
How are we doing tonight?
I like Mondo's hello there. It was kind of like
Sultry.
quiet storm, kind of, like hello, welcome.
It kind of fits this episode too.
Sure. Yeah.
A little Bayou twang.
It was a dark and stormy night. It's not stormy. It's never stormy. It's a dark and balmy night here in Las Vegas. I would have been a good airline pilot. We're coming in about 3,000 feet here, folks. Probably going to hit that mountain, so hold on to your asses. Ever been on an airplane that you thought like you might? Ever been on an airplane you thought you might die?
I flew out of Salt Lake City one time, and it's something about flying out of the middle of the Rockies. They say there's like air pockets, and it was the worst turbulence I've ever experienced.
It's the same way here.
It was like shaking back and forth, like it felt like side to side, and I just kept looking at the flight attendants like, well, they're okay, so maybe I'm not gonna die.
The only time that I ever really got scared on an airplane was because I fly all over the place for work all the time, so it's just old hat now. But we were flying. Me and a coworker of mine were going to Eugene, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So on the way, we had to fly to SFO and then fly there.
Mm-hmm.
On the way back, we've been a long day because when I used to hook up with this coworker, my buddy Ryan, we should not have been traveling together. We just got way too fucking wasted every night. So we're flying back, and it landed at SFO and hit crosswinds. So it landed really hard and took right back off because it has to come back on the crosswinds.
Right.
I was like dead asleep, and look, I'm like, we're landing, and just boom, and we're back in the air. I'm like, am I dead? I just fucking die. So then I realized I was going up, but if I die, that is not where I'm going.
I did have a moment this weekend. We went to a family treat up in Big Bear, which is like a good at least 7,000 or 8,000 feet elevation. Yeah. So they gave us this whole talk about altitude sickness. And,
did you feel it?
Oh, I felt it. Like, yeah, it kind of messes with you. And they also said, like, because we're at this retreat and it's kind of it's further up in the mountains. Like, if you think something's happening, let us know as soon as possible, because it takes a little while for an ambulance to get up here.
Oh wow!
Because there was like just a blizzard there because of all the rain we had in California. So there were like 5, 6, 7, 8 feet of snow on the banks. So in the middle of the night, I wake up and I have a cramp like in my abdomen, but like in my like half asleep, altitude sick days, I thought my appendix was exploding or something.
You're like, this is it. This is exactly what they talked about.
I'm gonna my appendix is gonna explode. I'm in the sleeping bag. They're not gonna get here in time. Might as well just lay back and accept it.
Just wait it out. It's coming on its own.
It's the big one.
I'm gonna do it at my own pace.
No, I just stretched and I was like, okay, cramp gone.
Oh yeah, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico for work, and I didn't realize that Santa Fe is at a higher elevation than Denver even.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the top 5 highest elevations in the United States. So I got to my hotel, and there's a cool little brewery there called Rowley's Farmhouse Ales. So I'll just walk there. It's about 2 miles, no big deal. About a mile in, I'm just I was like, am I dying? Like, what the fuck is happening? And I got to the brewery and I sat down. I'm like, okay, not now. I feel better, but you almost feel like you can't get you're getting breath in, like good breath in, but your body's you're not getting enough oxygen.
Just not enough air in the air.
Yeah, such a weird feeling.
It's weird. All right, let's get to it though. Tonight we're talking about Staired in Horror, which came out December 14th, 1994. Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
So before I do that, how long did it take you to get the pun of stared in horror? It took me so long to realize, like, stared, like stare with your eyes, like okay. I felt
it took me to right now to get it.
It
took me to Jody explaining the pun.
It made me feel really dumb when I was finally like, oh, like stared.
Dude,
okay,
I literally just thought stairs. It's a weird word play on the word stairs.
Yeah.
I watched this episode. I'll tell you why in a little bit. I watched this a couple weeks ago to prepare for a thing. So I've had a little time for this to like roll around my head. So yeah, I figured it out after a while.
We have never claimed to be smart.
No.
Yeah.
Persistent, but not smart.
Persistent, old, not smart.
All right. So plot synopsis. We start off with the beatnik crypt keeper doing some slam poetry wearing a little black beret. Love it. Again, costumes.
Oh my god! Every time I've said it before, I get these images of my head of him setting up his little house,
Yeah.
like having a good time. Got his espresso machine going. He's having just the best time. Like he's a good host. Let's be honest. Like if you're gonna go and hang out with someone, you want a friend like the Crypt Keeper.
Oh, and weird trivia moment. I read this earlier that Gil actually directed the Crypt Keeper scene for this one. So Gil Adler was the director of this one.
He actually usually directs them. He
Oh, really?
I don't know, like the second, I don't know if, like when they started the third season, but definitely once they got rolling, he directed most of these scenes.
Okay, so not good trivia. That was bad trivia.
No,
that's why I don't do trivia anymore. Now I do more.
No, that's good. That's good.
Would you say he started doing it once they got rolling?
All right.
I only know that song because it was the Undertaker's theme for a little
while.
Wondering
about that
when he donned his Southern accent, and now that guy's a super douchebag, but whatever. But he had that great match with Shawn Michaels, so who cares?
All right, on to the story. A fugitive, speaking of Southern accents, a fugitive named Clyde is running through the bayou being chased by somebody.
Hold on, Jody, can you do this whole synopsis with your best Southern accent?
I mean, I have a Southern accent.
No, sorry. Let me rephrase this. With your best, what you imagine a New Yorker would think a Southern accent is.
Oh, it'd be indecipherable. Like it's
New York City.
Boomhauer.
Even as somebody who lives in the South, when I heard this guy talk with his fake Southern accent, there was some times I could not stand a thing the boy was saying. It was near impossible.
My wife is doing a rewatch of True Blood.
Yeah,
and I don't hate that show by any means. I'm a big fan of Anna Paquin, actually. But the accents in that show, that's what this reminded me of right away. It's like
a New Orleans Creole type accent is a completely different accent from like your typical Southern accent.
And it's a lot of actors I think don't know how to do it, but you want to know what? It's that terrible accent in a horror film and in True Blood. It's endearing, actually.
Oh yeah. All right, so a fugitive named Clyde is running through the bayou, and it didn't take me long because the music that was playing is like bayou music. Being chased by somebody, and he comes across a big mansion in the swamp area, and knocks on the door, and an old lady comes to the door, and he asks her for help. She said she wants to help, but doesn't want to let him in since she's all by herself. But then he kind of collapses, and she opens the door. And he comes in and tells the woman he's being chased because he's been with the sheriff's daughter, and they say that she's too young for him, and so the sheriff's got it out for him. And she says, I'll protect you. And the sheriff comes and he says that they're looking for a killer who beat up an old man at the Circle K, and he died earlier in the day.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
I can never see a Circle K without having that thought pass through my head. But she tells the sheriff she hasn't seen him, and so the mob kind of leaves. So she starts talking to him, and he just becomes an instant dick. Like he's such a mean guy all of a sudden. Now, when I say an old lady too, like imagine the oldest person you can imagine, and then make her older, because that's the makeup effects in this episode. I'll talk about that more later. Incredible. Love the makeup in this one.
She reminded me almost of in Snow White, the witch in Snow White.
Yeah.
Just that over the top kind of. I was a big fan.
Yeah. But she starts talking to him, and he starts being really mean and talking about how gross and old she is. He tries to steal her car, but she doesn't have a car. Tries to use her phone. She doesn't have a phone. And he raises a pistol up behind her to kind of pistol whip her with it. But she tells him to stop, pours him a drink, and says, "You don't want to go out tonight. They're still going to be out there. So stay the night here. And in the morning, I can help you find your way out of here."
He had like an old, 1800s gunpowder revolver too.
Yeah, I think he picked it up from her house.
He did. I didn't catch that.
Found it on the nightstand, which
okay, I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
So she goes upstairs, and he's he's just breaking stuff for no good reason. He's got a big sword and just hitting some of the things in her house.
You would say he was he wanted someone to give him something to break.
So you
Second
can break
tonight.
some stuff.
That's the most Limp Bizkit references I've made in my entire lifetime.
I'm waiting
Because
on the
if there
Nookie.
is one band that's almost as bad as Led Zeppelin, it might be Limp Bizkit.
Oof.
But at least they know they're bad.
Right.
That's why I find them endearing, because they just embrace the badness.
They embrace what they are.
I can't stand them, but something is endearing about Fred Durst just dressing like an old man. I just love that. Like he gets it. He's in on the joke at this point, and I respect that.
Yeah. All right. So he's just breaking stuff. And he hears a voice come from the top of the stairs. And when he walks over there, there's a beautiful young woman at the top of the stairs. She says her name is Lillian Charbonnet, which sounds like a New Orleans name. He tries to come upstairs to see her, and she says that he can't because this house has rules. And so he says, you come down. And she said, okay, so go mix up some drinks. And he's mixing the drinks, and he feels her up. He feels her like pressing up against him, and he reaches back, and it's the old lady, and he freaks out and all grossed out about it. But that's when she starts explaining to him what's going on in this house. She starts walking back up the stairs, and as she walks up the stairs, this is where the makeup is really cool. She gets progressively younger as she goes up the stairs until she becomes Lillian at the top of the stairs. And she explains that the house is cursed because back in the Civil War, her husband was away at war, and she cheated on him, and he caught her and put a curse on her that she could never come down those stairs in a way that she looks like herself. She's going to get old every time she comes down the stairs, and no young man can come up to her on the stairs or he will get old.
But she can come up the stairs, and that's fine. See, this is why I need you guys to be audible, so it's not just awkward silence.
Yeah,
For the record, Jason and Jody were giving me bad stares.
You could almost say she did it for the Nookie.
Damn it, Jason! I had that line queued in my head, and I was waiting for the right time. I love you, Jason.
I know I could beat you to it.
I love it. I'm a happy guy.
She did find a loophole in her former husband's curse, though, and they meet in the middle on the stairs and start making out. But at that point, though, the sheriff knocks again and says, go upstairs, because when you go upstairs, you're going to turn into an old man. No one's looking for an old man. So she goes downstairs, becomes the old version of herself. He goes upstairs, and he becomes an old man, but he's very freaked out by the whole thing.
But he did have faith.
There you go. So she lets the sheriff in, and his men come in, and the dog comes in, and the dog starts sniffing all over the place and starts running up the stairs. And then there's this moment that the sheriff can't see, but we can see as the audience, where the dog starts looking like grayer than it was at the bottom of the stairs. So the dog freaks out, runs down the stairs, and the sheriff said, oh, it must be a mistake. And they leave. But
that was a really cool effect too.
That was really cool when the dog had that like old dog look. I thought that was really neat. But Clyde has gotten freaked out by this whole thing, even though he doesn't look like himself, and the sheriff looked right at him. And so he starts wandering down the hall of this second floor. And Lillian goes to find him. And when she gets to the top, she realizes he's not only wandered down the hall, but he has climbed another staircase up into the attic. And when we see Clyde now, he's so old and decrepit that he's just laying on the floor. His eyes are like completely whited over. He can barely see. He can't hardly move, and he's near death. And so he kind of, croaks for Lillian to help. And she says, she's coming to help him. And you see the door open as she comes up the stairs. But instead of Lillian, she has de-aged so much that a little baby crawls in the door, and she can be of no help to him. And so it ends with us assuming that he just dies up there. But then the Crypt Keeper gives a little eventually he scooted himself far enough that he could live again and wait for her to grow up. which is creepy. So I don't like the little ending there, but
as
I
he-
like the ending
here's-
of the actual story.
He was a
As he said
member of the Catholic
earlier,
Church.
he's okay with them being young, but the
Yeah,
sheriff
that's creepy.
wasn't, which is really fucking creepy.
Yeah.
The end scene though, that makeup they did on him, I thought was pretty
Yes.
fantastic.
Oh man, it was nice.
And that was a fucking adorable baby. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. If you're gonna die laying on the floor, at least you have a nice little baby to like sit there and clap and do stuff while you die. I don't know.
All right, Mondo, what did you think of this episode?
I liked it. I was a fan of it. It's always cool when they get so much out of such little scenery
Mhm.
and just let these actors play off each other. I also loved Arlie Ermey
Yes.
as the sheriff and
Always.
how they got the shots through the people with him, this face in the like I guess the security door or whatever.
The fishbowl lens.
Yeah, I thought that was so well done. And Arlie Ermey is a ham, like in everything he's in. And he's also one of those guys, and I'm happy. I shouldn't say I'm happy he's dead, but like I'm glad he's not on Twitter in the modern age. I'm just gonna put it
that's
that way.
true.
Like, I still have good memories of Arlie Ermey, but I feel like if he was on Twitter, we'd have some other opinions of him. Just because I'm just joking. Arlie Ermey is actually probably, from what he did say, I mean, someone might prove me wrong, but I thought he's actually pretty tolerant to most people. Like he was kind of just like, do what you want to do, just don't bother me. I don't give a fuck what you do. But I always love Arlie Ermey. I thought the performances, aside from the accents, but I think the accents were done intentionally over the top.
Yeah.
I thought that the performances were really good and really fun. The story I thought was actually really good. I liked the idea, and to be fair, like I felt bad for the woman because it was Civil War times. Usually, if you went to war during the Civil War, you weren't coming home. Let's just be honest, you weren't coming home. And that end scene, and like I said, and Jody said he wants to bring up the makeup effects. So the makeup effects were so good
Yes.
and so much fun, and the way they do the transitions in a non CGI era, I think it really shows just the beauty of practical effects and what can be done with practical effects. And I really, man, like it gave me, this episode gave me a lot of nostalgia, not for Tales from the Crypt, but just that era of movie making and filmmaking when we were still saying like, let's see what we can do with makeup and have a good time with makeup. And
right. I mean,
I
there's just
bet
a level of artistry in that kind of makeup that you just can't
yeah.
get with a computer.
100%. And shout out to filmmakers nowadays, like our good friend Kill Kostansky, who are
Mhm.
still using practical effects and making them look just cool. Like he did The Void, and The Void is one of my,
Yes.
I think is a modern,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those movies that like our kids will go back, and I think that movie is going to be kind of like The Thing, where yeah, us horror nerds love it, but I think that's going to be one of those movies that people look back fondly on in 20 years about how good the practical effects were. And I think like the more we see this kind of stuff and see modern stuff with great practical effects, like people are going to have that nostalgia. And this is why practical effects will never die.
Oh yeah.
Is from this. And I also was actually, you know what? I got X vibes from this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Totally.
But from the way they did the makeup and the way they had the younger person, very sexually charged, obviously, well, she's older now, but remembers their younger self. And I would bet you this seems like something Ty West might have seen and maybe gave him a little inspiration for that world.
I
So
can definitely see that.
Yeah, I see that.
after a string of some kind of rough episodes, I've been really happy the last few we had to watch. So
Nice. All right, Jody.
Yeah, I really like this one. It was a lot of fun story. The whole like magical staircase that you are old on one side of it and young on the other was really cool. I like the big mansion set that they had for this. It was a really cool, like old looking, antiques everywhere. That Southern Gothic kind of thing. And for me, the highlight has to be the makeup effects though, because like we've been talking about, it's not just, I mean, the old lady makeup on its own is fantastic. But the scene that really got me was when she's walking up the stairs telling him the story, and it's progressive. Like she's super old on the bottom, and then like a quarter of the way up, she's a little less, and you can see that, and it's obvious. And then she's about 2/3 the way up, and she's even less. And then by the top, it's her actual face. And just the way that they built that and let it happen as she climbed, super cool, really effective. Both the performances were good. I even, a lot of times when you've got a young person playing an old person, they kind of play it up too much. I don't think she did. I think she had just the right amount. And you know, the young guy getting freaked out when he suddenly is an old man, even though he knows what's going on, makes sense to me. I've been slowly turning into an old man, and I get freaked out by it sometimes.
Dude, I was thinking today, like right before we record, I got home from the gym. I was just washing up in the bathroom real fast, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm going gray. Like, what has happened? I just turned 40, and I see all these grays. Like, what in the fuck?"
I wish I still had hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's better than not having any hair.
Dude, see, but you guys said this. You guys both like rock the shit out of that bald look. I'm gonna have a weird shaped head. I'm afraid to shave my head. Like I'm gonna have. I already know I hit the head a lot. I know there's scars up there and stuff. So I'm like, fucking dude, I did not want to. No offense. You guys are good looking dudes with bald heads. Like I'm terrified. Like what the fuck is gonna happen?
No, as I felt male pattern baldness approaching, and it definitely was approaching for a lot longer than I admitted it was. But I started looking at other guys who I knew who had shaved their heads, and I'd be looking like, wonder if I could do that. It took me probably 6 months of doing that before I finally broke down and did it.
I feel like my hair is almost stabilized at this point. So I wonder if I'm just like okay for a little while. We'll see.
Hey, but, I mean, some people keep it.
But I also refuse, and this is for our listeners our age. Like, don't be that guy that just holds on to the tuft of hair in the middle of we've all known that person that has the horseshoe and the tuft of hair in the middle. It's like, dude, you gotta let it go, man. It's okay.
Hey, I remember when I was a kid, there was a guy who I used to see around, and he had a bald head and like a big gray beard. And even as a kid, I was like, I'm probably never going to go bald. No one in my family's bald, but if I do, I'm going to do that. I'm going to grow out a beard and I'm going to shave my head. And then it just happened that way. So yeah, I've been preparing for this for a long time.
No joke or facetiousness. You guys rock it though. So it's cool.
So Joe, do you say you take a look around at all the other men around you? See other hair wearers?
Well, it was just one of those things. As I knew,
hold on a second, Jason. Is that a reference to something?
Yes.
I don't get the reference.
Take a look around.
It's the Mission Impossible song.
I'm sorry. Damn it.
I love that song.
This is where like
that song. Anyway.
I don't know my Limp Bizkit references beyond like the big ones. So yeah, you're going deeper in the deep cuts here.
You know what I was thinking of though, when we were young, there's that band Rexon Effects.
Oh yeah.
And they had that song.
All I want to do is zoom, and a boom, boom.
Yeah, why didn't Zoom like use that as their commercial? I mean, it's sexual in nature, sure, but we were singing that shit in elementary school. We didn't know any better. Right. We bought that single on cassette tape with the edited lyrics.
Yeah. All right, I will jump in. I liked this episode the first time I watched it, but I liked it a lot more the second time. I think the beginning is a little bit on the slow side. But watching it a second time, looking for those effects and what's happening with them, because I think maybe I just didn't catch them the first time immediately. But knowing that that's kind of the shtick, you made me appreciate it even more. I kind of wish that they had actually done more with the stairs, and like I feel like they introduced that a little bit late in the game for this episode. Like I thought it was a really cool concept that they could have gotten even more out of. But again, so much time, you only have so much budget. And that's just being a nitpicky on a otherwise good episode. The MVP is definitely the makeup effects. They're fantastic. It's funny because sometimes in Tales, when the Crypt Keeper shows the comic page at the very beginning, it's either spoils or gives away something. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, wait, there's a baby in this? And I'm watching the episode knowing at some point there's going to be a baby, and I couldn't figure out what the hell is going to happen.
That's funny. I didn't even catch the baby in there.
And then, and at the very end with the baby, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like, it finally came together because you're like, where's their baby in all this? Yeah, the cast was good. So this was directed by Stephen Hopkins, who did Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child, Predator 2, ton of great genre stuff. He also did other Tales episodes, Abracadaver and Beauty Rest. Nice. And I had the pleasure of interviewing him. So we will have interview outs in a few days. So this episode will come out on Sunday. The Wednesday after, we will have a fantastic interview. We talk Freddy Krueger and The Dream Child. We talk Predator 2, all kinds of stuff. Really cool guy, amazing genre resume. And
Wait,
we talked about
he
all
did
3
Predator
episodes.
too.
What's that?
He did Predator too.
Yeah,
I love Predator too.
I love Predator
Oh, yeah,
too. I love
me
it's such
too.
a great movie. It's just
It's-
fun.
Well, it's kind of like how Terminator and Terminator 2 was, right? Where Predator was like kind of a gritty sci-fi movie and they didn't know how it was going to do, and Predator 2 just went over the top, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
Not over the top with the backwards ball cap, but over the top.
Yeah.
Also,
Uh,
Terry Funk was in Over the Top, but Terminator 2 went bigger in the second one. The first one was a grittier. I love Terminator 2, and one of my favorite ones is the Easter egg of the Xenomorph skull.
yes, we talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
So I'll say I won't give anything away because it's all in the interview. So go listen to the interview. It's a great time.
The Easter egg that set up a whole series
Oh,
of
yeah.
comics and movies and video games and everything.
It's crazy how good the comic series was and the video games were,
Yes.
and how fucking trash the movies were.
Well, yeah. But yeah, so he directed this one. Clyde is played by DB Sweeney. He did The Cutting Edge, Fire in the Sky, and Spawn.
If people out there have not seen Fire in the Sky, in my opinion, that's still
gosh.
one of the most
Terrifying.
terrifying movies ever made.
It's probably the movie that like scarred me the most as a kid from seeing it too young. Like
I'm with you on that,
that
dude. And
scene when he's wrapped up in that like plastic stuff.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
the needle going into the eyeball.
Yes.
But
I
the
will
way
also, I'll go to bat for the Spawn movie. I think it was like 97, 98.
Hey,
I love that
for
Spawn movie.
For what it was, it's fun.
Yeah, for
So,
the time, for what it was, it's just so much fun.
I do not like the Spawn movie at all. And it's not because I think it's, again, as a kid, I got into Spawn because my cousin gave me some comic books,
Mhm.
and I got huge into Spawn, and they changed so much from the comic book that I could not get past that,
Yeah.
especially as a kid. But
Totally
I do, but my wife Kel really likes that movie, and I get why people like it because John Leguizamo is just,
Yes.
it's crazy to me when I was
clown.
a kid. I always saw John Leguizamo as like a goofy actor, and then I realized just how fucking good of an actor he is. The guy's great. And I think I almost owe it another shot now because of how good
Sure.
the people are involved in it. But if you guys haven't seen it, I think it's on HBO Max. The Spawn
I feel like
cartoon
it is too. Yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys seen the Spawn cartoon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Back in the day, the Spawn cartoon was fantastic.
If you guys haven't seen it in your adult lives, watch it again.
Yeah.
Because holy shit, was that like, if that came out today, it'd be on the 19th season. It was way ahead of its time as far as like a violent cartoon genre, and it's very, very accurate to the comic book.
But I will definitely say John Leguizamo is extremely underrated actor. I think.
Yes.
Oh,
I think
100%.
he could definitely pull like a Brendan Fraser and like have an Oscar season at some point.
But
He gets the right
never
role.
really, you know what, he was great in? He was in Land of the Dead,
Mhm.
and he was awesome in that movie.
I mean, even in The Menu, he was great.
Yes, John Wick, like holy shit,
John
like
Wick, yeah.
like, he needs more and more, and I know he's done actually a lot of smaller films, which he's been fantastic in. So like, I think from our era, he got really pigeonholed into that.
Yeah.
I still remember they used to compare him to Carrot Top.
Ugh.
And at the time when we were younger, I was like, oh, they're both goofy guys. But as you get older, you realize, oh, that was super unfair to John Leguizamo.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Let's see. Lillian is played by Rachel Ticotin. She was in Total Recall, Falling Down, Con Air. Great actress. She has a lot of presence, a lot of physicality. She always brings a good grittiness to a role, so I always appreciate that. And then Ermey, I mean, he plays kind of the same character every single time, and you just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
But what's kind of cool about it though, he never like. So he's in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, and he is terrifying in that movie.
Oh yeah.
He's terrifying because he always has this like matter of fact, even though he's over the top, he always still has this like matter of fact demeanor about him. And you guys know the story about how he got his job in Full Metal Jacket, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories of all time. And if you're listening to this and don't know what that is, just Google it. You'll find it. It's great.
Or just look at the YouTube clip. It's all there.
Well, yeah, but how he got the job is even
yeah.
better than the job he did in that movie. But like in this, he's almost played for comic relief, but he's still terrifying.
Yeah.
Hey, if I was being chased by somebody, I would not want him to be the one chasing me.
he kind of shed that over the topness a little bit in the movie Life.
I hadn't seen that one.
Which one?
With Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence.
Oh, I was thinking of the space one with Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh no, they wasn't in that. But
I was like,
at the very end, he
was
plays
the
the
monster.
warden. He plays the warden that imprisoned these, that was basically responsible for them getting imprisoned. And that's the one time he kind of almost subdues his character a little bit. But damn, like he's just good at what he does. He doesn't have a gigantic range, but he's great at what he does.
Right. So he was also in like The Frighteners, and he played, I forgot exactly who was in Seven. As I think it was the chief of police or
Chief of police, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good that was a good reined in presence.
In Frighteners, he basically played his character from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Just in ghost form. I think he actually used lines from Full Metal Jacket in Frighteners.
We need to do that movie. I just feel like
have you seen it?
Yeah, Frighteners.
I haven't seen it in like 20 years.
It's been a long time since I've watched it too.
That's a routine watch for me. It's a feel good movie. I should say it's a feel good movie. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a happy movie for me.
Horror fans have a different definition of feel good movie.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that I just enjoy. I have a good time watching it. Michael J. Fox is great in it. Everyone in that movie, Jeffrey Combs, fantastic in that. Like, is it Jeffrey Combs? Is Jeffrey Combs in that? No, it's not.
I feel like I'm not sure.
The guy that's carving himself up with the one of the Buseys is in there with the teeth. Huh? Busey is in that movie.
Busey, yeah.
Not abusing, but Busey. Not to be confused with the bussy.
Jeffrey Combs is in The Frighteners. I just looked it up.
There we go.
And Jake Busey is in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I think it's a good episode. It's not quite as good as the best, but it's up there, especially for this season, and especially for where I think we're gonna go.
For where we're at in the series, to have one pop out like this that you're like, oh wow, I actually enjoyed that.
Well, I think this could fit into any season and to be a solid episode no matter what season it's in.
Yeah. No, I think like I said, the directing is good and the makeup effects are excellent, and that really kind of elevates the whole thing.
Yeah. And how do you guys feel about the way it was shot with the sepia tones?
Oh yeah, no, it worked for the hot, like southern sweaty.
Yeah,
I think that's what it felt like to me.
At first, I was a bit turned off by the kind of sepia, the darker tones. But as the episode developed, I more and more kind of enjoyed it and thought it fit really well with the episode.
Yeah,
because this is so old and the filming, the colors just have like degraded almost a little bit because it was of the time it was filmed. I give a lot of those things a little bit more.
Well, no, I mean, I think it was intentionally filmed with that color palette to make it seem almost more, because even though that was probably set, obviously not in modern times, but probably in the 80s, whatever, 90s. Well, it might not have been, because she brings up how her husband, like that'd be a red flag, right? If like you met a girl in the 90s and she was like, "Hey, my husband fought in the Civil War." Like, hold on a second. I know the Civil War because we created A1 steak sauce during that time.
Yeah, but I think basically though they said they were immortal when they were there in that house.
Okay. And that point,
something about that, like midpoint on the stairs, he said something like, "So like we're gonna live forever." I think that's part of the curse.
Okay. But I thought that sepia tone actually really fit in well with the story itself, because it made the episode feel older than it was.
Yeah,
and then when they kind of got that outside shot with Arlie, Ermey, and the cops, that was not filmed in sepia tone.
Yeah.
So I think it was a definite choice of color palette.
Like as you went into the house, it kind of stepped back in time a little bit.
Yeah. I see what you mean. It gives that a little bit of a timeless feel to it. All right, Jody, give us the comic comparison.
All right. So Vault of Horror number 23, March 1952. There's a story called Staired in Horror by Al Feldstein, Bill Gaines, art by Graham Ingalls. It has nothing to do with this episode again. There is a couple in both stories, and there is a staircase in both stories. But other than that, like, there's no real connection. It's about a woman who is kind of a gold digger who's trying to collect life insurance. She had murdered her first husband by pushing him down a set of stairs, and then she gets this other guy to fall in love with her and marry her. And again, there's a staircase in the house, and at the end, he comes back, like he dies in the graveyard and comes back as a zombie, kind of a Father's Day kind of situation. and they're both at the top of the stairs, and they fall off the stairs, and the next day the police find her shattered into pieces. It's not the most coherent comic story from Tales from the Crypt, and again, this episode has really nothing to do with it other than stairs. But it's fine. It's Graham Ingalls has an interesting art style. Everybody looks like they're melting in all of his stuff. The faces are real distorted and stretched, so it's cool art. But yeah, it's a filler Tales from the Crypt story as far as I would be concerned. The actual story that they came up with in this episode, I think, was much better.
Very cool.
Speaking of the story, I forgot to mention that one of the writers on the story was Penn. Penn Teller.
It was Teller.
Yeah.
It was Teller.
Oh.
I've actually been holding on to
Or
that
Teller,
one.
sorry.
Yeah.
Man, it's a small world because I was a couple guys who came to training class. The last time they were here in Vegas, they saw Penn and Teller, and we were just talking about them today.
Huh.
When I was I used to work 1 day a week at Barnes and Noble for discounts, and I really did it because I wanted my Calvin and Hobbes box set. And if you see back behind me, this Calvin and Hobbes poster, because they didn't make any Calvin and Hobbes posters, I wouldn't say I stole it. But when they were going to take the display down, I took the display home.
There you go.
And this was years ago. But Penn Jillette used to come into our into Barnes and Noble quite often because he lives here in Vegas, and he used to drive a pink Mini Cooper with the license plate Atheist. But he got kind of a dual reputation, as some people would call him a dick, because he would sit at his laptop a lot of times in the cafe, just drinking coffee at Barnes and Noble and doing some work and stuff. And people would walk up to him and like pull his shirt and try to get his attention and get an autograph. If they were kids, never cared. If they were adults, he would get pissy with them, be like, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah.
But if he was up getting a cup of coffee or walking around, dude, if 40 people wanted his autograph, wanted to take a picture, no problem. He's up. So a very, very nice guy.
Yeah.
And if you guys ever get a chance, like their show in Vegas is so much fun.
If I am in my zone, like if I am working, I got my headphones in, I'm on my laptop, I'm in the middle of stuff. If somebody messes with me, that throws my whole thing off. So I totally get it. I'd be mean. I'd be mean as hell if that's something that happened over and over while I was working.
People forget that celebrities are fucking human beings.
They have jobs that they're trying to complete, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish they could have done a Penn and Teller Crypt Keeper segment.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That seems like for that time, it would have been the
I was gonna say the early 90s.
Cool.
Like, yeah, that would have been good.
All right, let's move on to our episode rating. Jody, what did you think of this episode?
This is a solid 4 for me. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna go 4.5. I really like this one. It's a lot of fun. That makeup really pushes it up.
No, I have the exact same thoughts as Jody. 4.5, because for the exact same reason. The makeup was so good and so much fun. And it's kind of rare where I just kind of get lost in the moment when I'm watching that kind of stuff and just get excited. I actually got kind of excited about it. I'm like, this is really, really cool. And when I was thinking 4, and then it's that end scene when he's just laying there with the fingers and kind of the way they're moving the fingers, and they have the full body makeup. Chef's kiss. So I'm going 4.5.
Well, and how often do you guess the twist on a Tales episode after watching as many as we have? I didn't guess the twist on this one. Like up until right at the moment when she saw the stairs, I'm like, oh, something happened.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I thought it was very imaginative what they did. And again, like I know this was kind of the end of Tales from the Crypt, and like you said, they weren't putting much time into it, but you can definitely tell the love that was put in this episode and the effort. And
100%.
I think it really shines through.
I was gonna say 3.5, but you guys convinced me. Yeah, for the artistry that was put into this episode, and then when I think about the detail and the kind of the idea of like having to track shot by shot and how hard it is to act through all that makeup, it makes me appreciate a lot more as I was thinking about what you were saying. So yeah, I'll go with the 4.5.
Nice.
You guys turn me around.
Damn, we bumped you up a whole point, like hive mind. I kind of like that. Are you sure, Jason? Are you happy with 4.5? We're not just doing it. We're not peer pressuring you.
Hey, I did it my way. So there we go.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. All right, now we're gonna kick it over to our friend Al Katz. And we're back. All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
All right. I couldn't really think of something, not that I always do, something poignant, but I did think Arlie Ermey's in this. And Full Metal Jacket was the first two DVDs I bought. I bought the same day. I bought one first, though, at the beginning of my shift to Target. I bought one at the end of my shift to Target. The first DVD I bought was Full Metal Jacket.
Nice.
Because I love that movie when I was younger. I can probably still quote that movie word for word. We shouldn't really quote that movie word for word, but but I love that movie. And I thought, like, I know a lot of people, you guys have all seen Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You both.
Yeah.
I think it's a tale of two movies. The first half and second half are so different. And I used to be mad when I was younger because I was like, how do they never talk about the horrific things they saw in boot camp ever again? And then I realized there's a very good point to that, because they've seen so much more horrific shit since they've been in Vietnam. And so the song I picked is kind of an ode to that movie, because I love the soundtrack for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just a phenomenal soundtrack.
The bird is the word.
That's my song of the day.
Seriously?
My song of the day. Yes, but Surfing Bird, but not by the band you think it is. So in I think it was 2001, one of the great legends of German thrash, the golden age of German thrash, Sodom, released a record called M16, and M16 is all about Vietnam. The title track off the most popular track off that album was called Napalm in the Morning, which, in my opinion, Jason, you like Metallica. It's like thrash metal amplified. Napalm in the Morning has one of the coolest fucking riffs of all time. But the very last track of that album, they covered Surfing Bird. And it's a super cool cover of a thrash metal band covering that song.
I'm gonna have to go listen to that.
Yeah,
but all I can think of,
I actually think you guys will dig it, because there is like, I really think that a lot of these metal bands that cover, and Sodom, believe me, I think Sodom, the way those guys are as musicians, it's probably a song they actually loved because they love that researching war in that time period. One of their most famous albums was Agent Orange. And off Agent Orange, if you want to hear a great song, Remember the Fallen, in my opinion, is like a thrash metal classic, but just a wonderful song. And I think that band actually appreciates it. But when you hear, like, I think I referenced before a band called Spider God that did these pop covers. You don't do those covers unless you have some kind of love for that source material. And I respect that, because I think that the one thing I wish, this is a tip for all the younger musicians out here, and Spencer from Ice Nine Kills talked about this. One of the things I wish that I actually regret as when I was younger and learning music and becoming a musician was I kind of just shut everything out but metal. If it's not metal, it's not real. And then as I got older, I realized all these fucking great musicians and influences I missed out on because of that. And so I love when I see these bands that are rooted in metal, but they're not afraid to say, oh, I fucking love that Taylor. Lemmy from Motorhead loved Taylor Swift. and there's nothing wrong with that, because he just saw her as a great musician with a great voice. And I think sometimes when you get too ingrained in one genre, sometimes you shut out, like I did, I'll admit it, other genres of music. So I don't think Sodom covered Surfing Bird to kind of make a joke. I think they did it because they actually really love the source material, and they did a really cool cover of it and did it justice. So the bird is in fact the word. And our song this week is Surfing Bird by the band Sodom, which I hear is a popular term in the Catholic Church. But speaking of church, Jason, wasn't a Jewish holiday this week?
Yes, it was Passover. Good times.
And again, I asked this not to seriously, not to be mocking anybody's faith. What is Passover? What do you guys do for Passover?
Passover is one of the prototypical people want to destroy all the Jews overcome. Hooray.
Prototypical, everyone's trying to kill.
That's most of them. No,
that does happen a lot.
That happens a lot. No, this one specifically is about the Jews being enslaved in Egypt for 400 years. And the Metallica song Creeping Death, the usual.
Hey, I'm creeping death.
Yeah, exactly. But no, and then the whole Moses story. It's a whole thing. Watch the 10 Commandments, Charlton Heston, you'll get the gist. But I fucking love that movie.
It's a good movie. I remember watching that as a kid. Like,
oh yeah,
Every Easter it'd come on.
Mhm.
I can honestly say I've never seen it, and I don't mean that like I probably should. Like, I probably enjoy it.
It's just
It's got
good
some
filmmaking.
for the time. Yeah, it's got some amazing effects for the
Charlton
time.
Heston.
Some
If
great
if it,
acting, great costumes.
if it was made nowadays, Charlton Heston would pull out his AR and
Yeah.
Well, okay, so there's this joke I love to tell. This is my Passover joke. I tell it to someone every year. I'll just go ahead and share it. That this, little boy goes to Sunday school, and right before Passover, his mom picks him up, and his mom turns to him in the car and says, "Hey, what'd you learn this week?" Well, I learned about how Moses went up to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go," and then Pharaoh said, "No." And the mom says, "Oh, what happened next?" And the boy says, "Well, Moses went back to his secret underwater base, and he got all of his tanks and his guns and his dragons, and he attacked Pharaoh. But Pharaoh launched a nuclear weapon and tried to destroy the Jews, but God destroyed the nuclear weapon, and the Jews killed all the Egyptians." And the mom goes, "Is that really what happened?" And the boy goes, "Well, if I told you the truth, you'd never believe it."
That's good. That's good. Did you guys have a good what do you guys generally do for the holiday to celebrate?
So there's like a big ceremonial dinner you have with all this, with like a lot of like readings and songs and
That's cool.
traditions that you
Yeah.
do. And then you're not supposed to eat leavened foods, which pretty much any bread, really.
Mhm.
So we eat matzah, which is like these big crackers.
Hold a second. You post on Instagram you eating breadsticks from Olive Garden tonight.
Well, no, because tonight was the last night.
Oh, okay.
That's why I posted that, is because look at us, we're Olive Garden eating breadsticks. It's like
That's cool. That's cool. And for the
best thing to
record,
eat.
people want to talk shit about Olive Garden. Dude, soup, salad, and breadsticks are the shit.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
give
by
a
far the best.
fuck
part.
if they're microwaved. Give me a fucking frozen pack of those. I'll put them in the microwave. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That's some good food. That's cool. I like learning about this stuff because I know I've heard Passover obviously,
Right.
but I kind of don't know it, and I really don't mean that. Like, I'm not obviously not. I'm actually really interested in that kind of stuff.
And when I was a teenager, we live in Tennessee. I knew one Jewish family in all of Tennessee, but we were friends, and they did a Seder, invited all of us over, and that was really cool. It was a cool experience to be part of that. And we came from different backgrounds, but it was cool participating and getting to see that happen. So I enjoyed it. That was neat.
It's almost like we'd all be happier if we were just tolerant and respectful of
Just
people's
got along.
decisions of how they want to
wouldn't
live
that
their
be
life.
neat? Wouldn't that be cool?
I'm looking at you, Kid Rock, you fucking piece of shit. But
Well, he said, it's my way or the highway. So
well, I think it's funny because it's a good day to not Kid Rock.
Yeah.
I feel like he and Glenn Jacobs probably hang out. But the motherfucker acts like he was from a double wide trailer in fucking Detroit. That
Right.
motherfucker was from the suburbs. His dad owned car dealerships. He was a good musician because his dad bought him. Like, again, I'm not going to take anything his way. He's actually a phenomenal musician. And I don't care how many lessons you take and how many instruments you buy, you have to work hard at that and have natural talent. I give him that credit. Actually, what I really hate about Kid Rock is he actually had a reputation for his earlier albums. He was always about like bringing in different people from different walks of life, and he actually highlighted African American musicians and stuff like that. But he's also showed his true colors. I don't think he's like a real big I think he's just about how can I make money and who do I have to appease to make money nowadays, and that's just pretty shitty. But if you're not gonna drink Bud Light anymore because they supported someone who's different than you, then don't ever fucking get on Twitter and be like, "Yeah, the fucking left doesn't appreciate my opinions." No, we just don't want you to be a racist and fucking misogynistic or a fucking excluding piece of shit. Dude, I don't give a fuck if you voted for Trump. Just fucking respect the fact that I might want to be different than you, and other people might have different beliefs than you. All we want is, every fucking buddy wants is respect. Can someone give me something to break?
Jody, how was your Easter?
That was good. Candy and egg hunts and, eating dinner with family. So, we had a good time. I live in Tennessee, so, from what you're talking about, nonsense happening politically. I live in Tennessee. We've had a heck of a week, but
you know what though? You've had some politicians just in the past couple of days really step up in your state, and it's go against the grain a little bit, which is kind of nice to see when people who you think are obviously right wing are like, yeah, I'm right wing, but this is fucked up.
Oh yeah, no, things got bad enough in Tennessee that a lot of people were like, this may be even too far for me. But you know what? As of today, the guys they expelled are all back in office
That's good.
because it was all for nothing, their whole little stunt, and things are better now. And a spotlight is being shined on Tennessee. I've been saying for years, listen, man, everyone talks about Florida and Texas. They're like, man, things are crazy there. And I've been saying for years, no, guys, Tennessee's just as bad. I promise it's just as bad. And finally, people are like, man, things are bad in Tennessee. Thank you. I don't feel so alone.
It's it's a weird time, man. Like,
yeah.
And I'm gonna go off on a rant, but if you don't understand trans people, it's fine. I don't need you to understand or to get what they're going through or to get their mentality. All I need you to do is just fucking be a decent human being and just be like, I don't get that, but you do you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not in like, and I think it's funny. People are like, well, I'm not calling someone who was born with testicles. Sorry, I have to do a southern accent. I'm sorry. But
No,
there are
fine.
many
It's
people here
accurate.
in Nevada who do not have that accent that still are pieces of shit. And dude, like, if you're not gonna call someone they want to be called, then I want you to call fucking Ice Cube by his real name. I want you to call Snoop Dogg by his real name. I want you to call Kid Rock by his real name. Because if you're not going to fucking respect what people want to be called with their pronoun, then you know what? I don't want you to give respect to what anybody fucking wants to be called. At least go all the way. Like, fuck, dude. If you can call Ice Cube, you can call someone who you might not understand why they feel they are a woman and why they identify as such. You can call them she, and you can call them by the fucking name they want to be called. It takes zero effort to be a halfway decent human being.
Right. It doesn't cost you anything. Yeah.
And if you guys have a problem with that,
and no one's ever gone mad, if you make a mistake once and you're corrected, okay, fine.
Yeah.
There won't be, it'll be, you learn your lesson, you learn the right way to do it, and then you do it. You don't
okay,
put up a big fucking fight.
I'm not gonna say anybody, but 99% of people,
sure,
yes,
dude, like, they get it, and all they want, Jason, if I walked up to you and said, hey, what's up, Jay? And you're like, I don't go by Jay, I go by Jason. I'd be like, oh shit, dude, I'm sorry. I'll call you Jason.
Yeah.
If I keep calling you Jay, even though I know you want to be called Jason, now I'm an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. Like, you don't have to be like, no one's asking you to fucking, like, no one's asking you to transition yourself. all people want is for you just to respect what they want to be in life. And it takes no effort to do that. All it takes is you minding your own fucking business, which is really easy to do.
Right. You're respecting their personal freedoms.
Damn it. You know what? Fucking don't drink your Bud Light. Drink Coors Light, who's owned by the same company.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
They're all owned by the same company.
Yes. You fucking idiots. God damn it. And don't drink. I don't drink Bud Light because it's a shitty beer. But you want to know what? I will buy a fucking 12-pack of Bud Light if they put that fucking Transtar's fucking face on there, just to piss off people. And I'm not gonna drink it though. I'll just put it in my fridge and pour it out. But I paid for it, so who cares? And also, oh yeah, the best part is people going and buying 12 packs of Bud Light to go shoot.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, thanks for the money.
Yes, exactly. All right, Jody, give us some horror news.
Okay. So first one is a big one for Tennessee, actually, and for me and Mondo specifically. But the Chattanooga Film Fest has released its first chunk of movies. There are like 30 more that have not been announced yet. So the Chattanooga Film Fest is going to be huge this year. It's their 10th anniversary. Their opening night movie is Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls, directed and starring Andrew Bowser, who we had on the show.
Yes.
Talking about his movie. So I'm excited to actually see that in person in a theater with some buddies. Both Mondo and our friend Joe Ferry are planning on coming to Chattanooga.
I'm going to talk to Jason off the air, but we'll talk about it here too. I think I'm going to try to see if we can get a bunch of stickers to hand out to anybody who listens to our podcast. Nice. And if you see Jody or I, if you stroke our beard, we'll give you a free sticker.
With consent.
Jody's like, first of all, Jody, has anyone ever stroked your beard and you've been upset by it?
Probably not. I'm just saying in Tennessee,
I have actually, so I'm not gonna. I shouldn't actually talk.
I'm just saying
But
in Tennessee, like no one wears masks. So, like
ask for consent.
Yeah.
If you ask, can I stroke your beard? I'm probably going to say yes, and I'll give you a free sticker.
All right. Other things happening at Chattanooga Film Fest. World premiere of a movie called Sour Party. A Tearsucker. These are the ones that have been announced. One from the same production company that made Pussy Cake, which is a movie I really enjoyed last year. There's a new one called New Religion that looks really cool. Of course, it's a film fest, so most of these movies you've never heard of. That's the fun of it.
And you can get in virtually too if you're not going to be there.
Yes.
I am so excited to be in person because I discovered this because of you and during the pandemic, and immediately fell in love with the virtual festival. And I cannot wait to get there in person because it's much fun.
I've been in contact with the director of Chattanooga Film Fest. He wanted to make sure that as we meet in person, they continue to do the virtual side because it's great for people who can't make the trip or people with disabilities and, going to a crowded theater and having to go to shows after shows. If you have any kind of disability, it's hard. But the virtual fest has been great for that. And they are not going to let go of the virtual fest. That's going to be a part of them from here on out.
That's cool. I love that so much.
Yeah, why not?
They're good people. I've been in, like I said, I've been in talks with them about a lot of things, and they're just great. Grady Hendrix is going to be there with his live show about how to sell a haunted house.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of I might meet Grady Hendrix. I'm trying to get
Grady Hendrix. Yeah, super excited. And for us personally, I have to talk about this. They are doing a whole tribute to Tales from the Crypt this year, including our good friends A.L. Katz and Gil Adler will be at Chattanooga Film Fest. They're going to film a special live episode of the How Not to Make a Movie podcast, which we've been involved in. They are going to be doing a live commentary on Bordello of Blood for any... I don't know how long it's been since they've seen it, but it's definitely been a long time. And they are going to actually watch the movie and give commentary in the moment. And so many ands here. They're also doing a live script reading of Dead Easy, just like are very similar to the one that we did.
That might be just virtual.
I'm not sure when, but it does say the event will have a cast of your genre film favorites to pay tribute to Adler and Katz. So,
but it looks like Alan Gill will actually be at
Alan Gill will actually be there. They will be in Chattanooga. So I will have the opportunity to meet both of them before I have the opportunity to meet Jason.
Real fast, Jason, how tall is Al?
Oh, he's short. He's very short. I'm not very short, but like,
is he very short?
Everyone's very short.
Everyone's very short compared to you, Jason.
I've always said that when you meet people who you only know online, the first question is how tall are they? Because that's such a normal thing to know about people that you don't know when you've only seen everyone sitting at their desk.
Wait,
and I met Al before I met Mondo. So
yeah. Now this is perfect though. Like if I dress up as Halloween as Dr. Jason Stein, you have to do Jason Stein's monster and just put bolts on the side of your head. Super cartoony Jason Stein's monster.
Hell to the yeah.
Anyway, Chattanooga Film Fest. This is the 4th year, I think, that I've participated in it. I was going to go in person in 2020, but COVID hit, and they were one of the first places to go virtual. I've done the virtual every year since then, and I'm so excited to actually do it in person this year. If you want to go, or you want to do the virtual side, chatfilmfest.org. You can buy your badges, very reasonable badges, and all kinds of cool stuff. It's basically 2 festivals this year. Even if you do the in-person, the virtual's a whole different slate of films. So do it both. You get a whole week of just watching movies and having fun.
And what I love is I'm coming home that Monday, and then I'm going to take that whole week off to just watch more movies virtually that I couldn't watch at the festival.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm watching them all in person and then coming home and watching a bunch more.
In lieu of stroking his beard, if you just call Jody Daddy, he'll also give you a sticker.
Crypt Daddy.
The word that has just become the worst word.
Jason, can you get us shirts? Can you make a shirt say Crypt Daddies on them?
I'll get on my Photoshop after we get off.
If you Photoshop it, I'll buy the shirts. I'm not even gonna lie. I'll buy us both shirts.
All right. Other horror news outside of the Chattanooga Film Fest. We got movies releasing this week. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is out on VOD. There is a Japanese remake of the movie Cube that's coming to Screambox. I had
I'm
no
excited
idea.
for that.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest one coming out this week is Renfield.
Yes.
Is coming to
I'm
theaters.
excited for
Very
Renfield.
excited for that.
Like my wife is excited for that. That's how big this
Yeah,
is.
I think Renfield is one of those movies that's not going to be just a horror geek movie. Like it looks
you
so
can invite
over the
your friends
top and
to this
funny.
one.
It's gonna
Also, The Pope's Exorcist from the director of Overlord, with Russell Crowe as like this exorcist who had performed, 100,000 exorcisms based on a true story, apparently.
So I normally I'm weird sometimes about religious horror because I think religion is bullshit. And it's very hit or miss for me. I saw Consecration in the theaters and thought it was like, oh my god, I'm watching it like nunsploitation. Fuck it. No, it was not very good. But this, I think the trailers look really good for that.
I'm kind of into it. Like, over the top Russell Crowe, like, pure like exorcist ripoff.
Was it Russell Crowe that South Park made fun of because he wants to fight everybody?
Yeah.
Fought around the world. Is that him?
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, other news. A24 has revealed some casting information for Maxine, the third movie in the X series. Mia Goth's obviously in it, but also Kevin Bacon and Giancarlo Esposito.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
God
man.
damn.
I'm excited for that. I was excited anyway, but add those guys in there. Awesome.
You had me at Maxine.
Halsey and I forgot her first name, but DeBecky.
Oh yeah. My memory is terrible, and I promise you, when that movie comes out, like in a year, I'm like, did you guys know that Giancarlo?
And I think it started filming today. They announced.
Yeah, it just started filming. But speaking of Mia Goth,
yes,
she is also joining the MCU.
Yes,
because
I'm so
she
excited.
is going to be in the Blade reboot, which I'm really freaking excited for Blade. And now Mia Goth in it.
I have zero interest in the MCU anymore. And it's not a knock on people that love that universe. It really isn't. I'm not one of the guys that like, look how cool I am. I don't watch Marvel movies. No, it's more so I just got so far behind, I'll never catch up, and it makes me sad. But fuck, I am all in on a Blade reboot.
Yeah, 100%.
I wish they still had the Sound of Metal director on it, but he dropped.
I still have not watched it. I need to watch it.
Oh, it's really good.
What was the movie with the girl who had amplified sounds? She killed a bunch of people. I'll figure it out eventually. I'll tell you guys. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a fucking great movie.
I don't know that one either.
Yeah.
So the new director there, he directed the premiere episode of Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
A movie called 71 and White Boy Rick, which are not movies that I'm familiar with, but
have you, speaking of A24, has anybody started watching on Netflix? It's a comedy, a dark comedy, Beef.
Oh, I want to.
Oh, yeah.
With Ali Wong. It is fantastic. I'm 5 episodes in and just in love.
I thought it was a movie. I didn't realize it was a series.
No, same here. There's a scene with Ali Wong and she gets a gun out of the safe. And
yeah, she's
she's what, Jason? Can you finish that thought?
She's the mighty fine woman.
But great acting all around. Great direction. Like, I'm not spoiling anything because you've seen the trailer. The opening scene has a car chase, and that's like one of the best film car chases I've seen in a long time for a comedy. Very, very well done, and also a lot of deep stuff in it. I mean, in the best way possible. Like, just it's very good.
I'm very.
Of course, it's A24, so there's always some layers under that surface there.
And there was another John, if you're covering this, another A24 movie. I think like Talk to Me or something.
I saw the trailer for that just dropped recently, right? I haven't watched the trailer.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's like a bunch of teens and there's like a dead hand that like you can shake or something like that.
Yeah.
It looked. The trailer was creepy. I liked it.
Yeah, there's something about this dead hand that like you can get like wishes or something, or
like a monkey paw, like the monkey paw.
No, it's more like it connects you with like the ghost world if you hold on to it too long. Yeah. And the kids play a game to see who can hold on to it the longest. It looks like.
I'm not touching that hand. That's weird.
No.
Yeah.
Who knows what that hand's been?
It might smell like hot dog water.
And chocolate flavored starfish.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got a little bit more horror news. TV horror news now. There is a Conjuring television series in the works over at, I want to say HBO Max, but they're apparently changing their branding over at
Max.
Max. Like in the
Max.
like at Saved by the Bell, the
Yeah.
Max.
Or
It's
like
going-
or
but
Goofy's
anyway.
son Max.
But then there's going to be a Conjuring television series. So,
We don't know if it's starring Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, do we?
I don't know anything. I don't think we know anything about it other than that. Other than Atomic Monster is going to be producing, and that's
like-
James' company.
I've heard so many not good things about the Warrens, but so I'm just hoping that like their kids are getting all this like royalty money or something to like.
I mean,
offset.
they're dead. So
I know they're dead, but like whoever their descendants are.
The
Right.
Conjuring 2, when it went way over the top, like with the religious iconography, and,
Yeah,
and I don't give it. I actually like, as a guy who's an atheist, I love religious fucking movies, but it was really like really heavy on the Christianity's the best. Go Christianity, Jesus will save you, and if people believe in that, it's totally cool. I have no problem with that, but I don't need to be beat over the head with it.
but that first Conjuring movie
Great, I love the
is
first one.
great. It's so
Love
good.
the first one. It's fucking
And,
scary.
Honestly, the Annabelle creation and Annabelle Comes Home, those movies are really fun. Annabelle Comes Home is like a haunted house movie. Like there's 50 different ghosts, just ghost, different scenes. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun.
That
so
sounds too scary.
I'm into it. More TV horror on Max again. Gremlins Secret of the Mogwai dropped a trailer.
Ooh,
It's
haven't seen that.
an animated prequel to the Gremlins series set in the 1920s Shanghai. The series reveals how 10-year-old Sam Wing, who becomes the shop owner in the movie, met a young Mogwai called Gizmo, and they set up a lifelong friendship, and he tries to return Gizmo to his family. It in colorful monsters, Chinese folklore, and a whole bunch of gremlins. It sounds geared towards kids, but you know what? I'm always down for more gremlins.
Yeah, I mean, if you said if it's geared toward kids, it gets my kids to want to watch the Gremlins
Yeah.
movies, then I'm all for it.
The
Well, and
Gremlins
the-
were one of the first like quote unquote scary movies I watched with the
Right.
kids. It was a very good like intro horror. And they were very nervous about watching the first one, but as soon as we finished, they were like, "There's a sequel. Let's watch the sequel."
Yeah,
It-
that one's really
it-
more towards kids.
Oh, yeah.
but
I
it
love
was
the
smart
sequel.
though, because the sequel dug his heels in on how many young people love that movie.
Mhm.
And I still love the sequel too. It's,
Yeah.
all-
Me too. Me too. The sequel is just stupid fun, and I mean it in the
Yeah,
best
it's
way
very
possible.
different.
it's a real life Looney Tunes cartoon.
I saw it in the theater, and I'm not gonna lie, because it came out what 90.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like
something
6 or 7 when it came out, and the Hulk Hogan scene got me.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that Hulk Hogan
It
scene?
literally in the theater, it got me. I'm like, fuck this guy. Ric Flair would kick his ass. Where's Ric Flair?
All right, last bit of TV horror news. There is a animated Stranger Things series coming to Netflix soon, apparently. I love the Stranger Things series.
Me too.
I'm a big fan of everything that's happening there. So if they're going to expand on that world and do like some spin-offs and animated stuff as they get closer to this final season, totally into it. More
that-
Stranger Things makes me happy.
The last season was basically like a love letter to Nightmare on Elm Street.
right.
Yes,
And
so
I
much.
mean it in the best way possible. And all I'm thinking is like, please, please, please. Now it's time to revamp the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and give these fucking guys the reins to it.
100%. I love
Holy shit. Like Robert England's in it.
Right.
it. Yeah.
My kid was like, who doesn't even know? He's like, how'd you feel about Robert England? I was like, I fucking I saw him. I fucking, and, if you haven't seen this yet, spoilers. But it's been
I mean, if we haven't seen
like
it
2
yet,
years.
then, yeah.
In 2 years, I was like, I fangirled the fuck out when I saw Robert England.
Good stuff. So yeah, lots of good horror news right now. Good stuff coming out, good stuff in the future. I guess if you don't have a subscription to Max, go get you one, but whatever.
So I was talking about it earlier before we got in air, but I saw the horror film Malum,
Yes.
Mhm.
which is in theaters as a remake of the 2014 Last Shift.
From the same
Uh,
director.
Same director, and basically now he's like, oh, now I have money. I can read his name put in theaters. Fucking awesome. I had such a great time with that movie. Great effects. Gore. It's basically Last Shift with more gore and more backstories of why things are happening. I am a sucker for found footage movies, and they actually integrate some more found footage into this,
Oh, really?
which really kind of fleshes out the backstory. And I have heard people that didn't like that aspect of it, but I absolutely love it. Like if you
I
like
don't have a
just
problem with found footage at all. I
Dude,
love found footage.
and there's some scenes where they're very fucking disturbing, very gory, and I will give that my 2 thumbs up.
Nice.
What are you gonna say, Jason? My what?
I said nice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Nice.
So go see Malum.
All
Pay
right.
money to see horror films in the theater, so
Yeah.
more horror films will show up in the theater.
If I could find Malum around me, I absolutely would. I haven't found it yet.
Dude,
So
it played at one theater in Las Vegas, and I had to drive 20 miles to go there. So.
right.
All right, let's take a quick dive into our Patreon pit with our weekly Would You Rather question. If you want to vote on these or comment, because all you have to do is sign up for our Patreon account for $1 at least.
Dude, it costs $1.
I know.
And if you're like, nah, not enough content, I'm not gonna lie, we do not post enough content on there. But
We're working on it. We're working on something.
That's the worst advertisement we've ever done.
Tell us what you want, what you really, really want, and we will get you as much. Jason almost just deep throated his mic there.
We're done. We're done.
That was the creepiest thing I think I've ever seen you do. Everyone switch to YouTube now.
Yeah, I might have to blur that.
No,
all right.
not.
So
that was the least sexual, like.
I know.
But let us know what you guys want. We'll try to figure some stuff out, right? Like we're just old, busy men. And that's not that men has anything to do. Well, men has something to do because we're stupid, because we're men. But we're just old people, and we're old and tired. We don't have time.
Speaking of old and tired, that wraps into our question. Would you rather, this is a 3-parter. Would you rather A, be a child your whole life?
No.
B, be a teenager your whole life? Or C, be an adult your whole life? Now, while you're thinking about that, let me just tell you what our Patreons put. About 1/3 said be a child your whole life, and about 2/3 said be an adult your whole life. No one wanted to be a teenager your whole life.
Teenage is awkward years. Do I want to go back to acne and trying to figure out like why my wiener smells weird? No, I don't want to go back to that time period. Ever.
Yeah, but I wish I had my teenage metabolism again. Like that would be really nice. I could,
I think everybody
put away
does.
like 50 McDonald's hamburgers in a day and still like function.
Well, I mean, like, think of it this way: teenager is like that middle part where, like, you don't have all the responsibilities, but you have some abilities to do some stuff. But yeah, it is such an awkward.
So I'll bring it up and saying like my teenage years were fucking terrible because my parents were drug addicts and alcoholics and treating me like shit. So that's all like my mind goes to for those years. So that's definitely out of the case. Like my young childhood years, I lived with my grandparents who are amazing people. That was a great time in my life, but I didn't know shit.
Yeah, exactly.
My main question is like, do I have to work if I choose adult? Yeah. See, and that sucks too. Like, is there an option to kill myself?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna go against our patrons here, and I'm actually gonna say I think I want to be the teenager, because the teenager there you can still do. Yes, it's awkward, but you can still do stuff. Like you can drive a car. Like
Jody, your whole life.
Metabolism, man. Hair on my head.
But do you gain knowledge as you get older? Like, do you ever hit that sweet spot where you realize who gives a fuck what people think?
No, you're developmental. Let's just say you're developmentally at that point your whole natural life.
Yeah. So I have to go adult, because adult's the first age I truly realize that doesn't matter what anybody else fucking cares or thinks. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And as a teenager, oh boy.
Yeah.
See, I was a weird teenager who, I was a drama.
I'm gonna bet that we were all three weird teenagers.
Yes.
Like we would have all bumped each other to Blockbuster, all been in the horror section, and not talked to each other because we're thinking nerds.
Yeah.
But when I was I was a theater kid. Like you embrace your weirdness as a theater kid, and so I was kind of okay with that. The idea of not having to, have responsibilities and pay bills but also not be so like helpless as you are as a kid. I don't know, man. Like there are a lot of downsides to teenager, but I mean, I guess there's just downsides to being a human being alive on Earth. So,
Whoa.
I mean,
You nailed it with alive and on Earth.
I mean, I don't want to be adult my entire life. Like to not have a childhood and just go straight to adulthood, that would suck. So yeah,
Okay, that's your truth.
yeah. I think I'm gonna have to stay a teenager.
about
Awkward
you?
with a full head of hair and some sweet sideburns, man.
Yeah,
Like,
there's something about
It's the
that.
hair and the metabolism. I feel you, brother.
Is like 90s punk ska music still popular?
yeah. I mean, can I just stay in the 90s? That would
Yeah.
help too.
So Mondo, you're going for child or adult?
No, I'm going for adult, dude. Because like, again, my teenage years were not good years, man.
Yeah.
Like, I met
Totally
some great
fair.
people. I do have
Yeah.
some great memories. Don't get me wrong, but like, not happy times for in my life because of
Well,
the
more I'm saying
people I surrounded myself with.
Totally
But-
fair.
more
But
so than
I-
being a child.
I get what you're saying. Well, even as a child, so I moved into Vegas back in '92.
Mhm.
And I was 9 years old, man. It's like childhood is like split between these great memories I have with
Yeah.
my grandparents and not so good memories living with my parents. I'm not looking for sympathy. That's just fucking life and how it goes.
Mhm.
So like I'd have to say adult because the best years of my life have literally been as an adult. Because even as a teenager, dude, like I was fucking playing football and wrestling. I was 260 pounds, solid steel and sex appeal. I'm actually think I'm almost better shape now than I am at 40 than I was back then. I'm definitely 80 pounds lighter than I was back then. But now, you know, at my age, I've kind of been able to do like live my own life and be who I want to be with no restraint. And I kind of love that. Whereas I don't feel like I'm aside from the workplace, let's be honest, fucking
Yeah.
workplace people are judgmental as shit. But those are just two periods of my life that I wouldn't want to relive.
Yeah. I don't know. This is not me saying like I actually want to go back to being a teenager. Like I
Oh
enjoyed
no,
I
get you. You
Yeah,
don't
no.
want
enjoyed my 20s. The 20s were good. The 30s, I think, were better than the 20s.
Oh, yeah.
This is the thing that people don't tell you. I like my 40s better than my 30s.
Yes,
like
I
getting
actually
old
would-
is actually nice.
All
Like
right,
I kind
man.
of like it.
I'm not gonna agree only because like look all this fucking dude. I spent fucking 10 minutes trying to pluck a fucking errant eyebrow hair. Not that I don't give a shit about having bushy eyebrows, but you get that gray hair. It's like bing. I'm gonna go that
Hey,
way.
man. There's just, you know, I liked my 30s better than my 20s.
I don't know,
and
man.
so far,
So-
my 40s are better than the 30s. So
My
like,
40s, which happened less than 2 months ago,
Yeah, you're still
started with
baby
me-
40.
yeah.
will start with me getting sick as fuck from a sinus infection and having to doing our biggest convention of the year and then being on the road for 2 weeks straight. It's been a rough start to 40s. Tonight I was training. I'm like, I might be the oldest motherfucker in this place.
Yeah,
But I'm just joking. I actually aging to me doesn't bother me.
Nah.
I think you have a choice when you age. Like you have a choice to accept your age, or you have a choice to be like, I'm just gonna be who I want to be. Fuck my age. And I think the second, if you can do, I feel like Jody's done that. I mean that, and Jason's done that, and I mean it in the best way possible. You guys are unapologetically who you are. And
well, it takes 40 years to get there. Almost.
Yeah,
dude, but
yeah,
but
100%.
some people, but for some of our elders, it's
Mm.
they're 70 and they haven't gotten there yet.
True.
Yeah, it's for me, it's like, yeah, I think my childhood is fine, but being a kid, not in just is just so like,
You just can't do stuff.
yeah.
Dude,
It's
these
so
adult
crazy,
Lego sets are bomb
and-
as fuck, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Being a teenager, knowing if I could impart my knowledge and my personality into my
No,
teenager body,
no,
that would be
no.
perfect. But I know for this exercise, that's not the
Can't do that,
point.
Jason.
But that would be my quote ideal, was being a teenager, knowing what I know now. That would be
With-
amazing.
I think for
teen-
anybody,
teen-
that'd be what it
teenage
is.
body with adult brain.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think my adulthood is probably the best.
Yeah.
So
I just
it's
want.
not, it's not the easiest in the world, but you know, it's probably overall the best.
Dude, this whole working shit is bullshit. Like, it's just-
Yeah. I just,
All right.
I just want my hair back. Yeah.
For the sake of
I just wish I had hair.
all right, for the sake of time, I think we've dropped a lot of dad advice. Let's just do our Instagram questions and call it a night.
we had 2 questions, which again, at 27 views, I'm disappointed in you 25 motherfuckers. That's our post. My child included. Please, child, watch a YouTube video where I do make a judgmental face at you. Who did not ask questions.
Speaking of our children on Instagram, I saw that my daughter liked a post that Jason put up on Instagram where there was an old lady, and they asked the old lady if she had any liquids with her, and she said nothing but this WAP. And my daughter liked it, and so I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Should I block her from our Instagram?
Well, no, because these awkward moments is what makes this podcast great.
Amazing.
Did you ask her what
No, I haven't. I know she knows. The fact that I know is the surprise. I'm the 41-year-old.
Oh God.
All right, ask those.
Well, okay. Well, we're just gonna end the episode here and just we have 2 questions. One is from Night Official Movie. Okay. It's do you fear, in capital letters, the unknown?
Not as much anymore.
I think the older you get, the less like any of that shit bothers you, because when you say the unknown, I immediately think of death. Do I want to die? Nah. I had that MRSA scare when I thought I was going to die in Minnesota, and I was oddly okay with dying. Like oddly okay. Like, and I'm not going to get into details. I literally thought I was going to fucking die because I've never felt that bad in my life, and I had these temperatures and chills. I'm like, this is it. This is the end. And I oddly was okay with it. I'm like, this is it. This is it. Like, but I also had this weird feeling that, but I'm not ready yet. There's still more things I want to do. Still, like my daughter's not ready yet to be on her adult life. I still have things I need to do. So I don't want to die, but if it's it, that's the reason I'm gonna say I don't fear death. I don't want to die. I'm not ready yet. Which is weird as a depressive person who constantly thinks of suicide. And I don't mean light of that, but like I understand people who go to that length. They're in a different mind space. I'm never going to understand. So not to make light of that, but like I think about it. I just know that that's not for me. I know that like I have things to do in life that I still want to do. So I don't fear death or fear the unknown, but I'm not ready.
I think there's something about having kids that makes you more adaptable to the unknown, because I don't have a clue what the fuck tomorrow is going to bring. Like every single day is unknown, and you just never know. Like
Especially,
I don't know if I walk out
special needs.
I've got a special needs daughter. Like I have had to come to a peace several years ago of just going, man, whatever happens, and we're gonna just flow with it as it goes. And that's a much less stressful existence if you can get to that place.
Yeah.
Not saying I don't get stressed. I definitely do, and I get freaked out, and I have panic attacks, so I get fear. But
fear is always there, but I think it's one of those things where it's like you said, you don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. So I don't fear tomorrow.
Yeah,
I just know I got to deal with it, and we're gonna deal with it. But I'd rather deal with tomorrow than not have to deal with tomorrow. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, as opposed to alternative.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Did you answer, Jason? Do you fear the unknown?
No, like I was thinking, I agree with you guys. At this stage, it's not like feeling like, oh, what's the meaning of life? Oh, they're aliens. Is Bigfoot real? Like that's the kind of stuff I don't have time to think about. When you like you're a teenager or something like that, or you're a kid. Yeah, those things are pretty terrifying, but at this stage of my life, I'm like, I've got too much to worry about, to think about.
Jason, if you go before me, do you want me to come to your house and clear your browser history? I'm just fucking kidding. Jason knows how to use incognito mode. It's fine. Our next question from our good friend MJP12342. It is, what are some of your favorite blockbuster video horror VHS covers? What are those VHS covers that you still remember?
That's easy. Sleepaway Camp. I fucking love that cover.
Is that with her walking away with like the
No, that's the second one with Pamela Springfield, which is a great cover.
Oh,
But no,
it's-
the
yeah,
one I'm thinking of is like the one with the knife through the very specific Adidas
Sneaker.
shoes. with
Yes.
the,
Okay.
letter, like the letter the kid wrote to mom and dad.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Such a like that is just one of those covers that totally got me into. I mean, that's one of my favorite all-time movies, and that cover is totally what drew me in. I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So the ones that I remember as a kid that like freaked me out, but actually ended up being some of my favorites, Dolls.
Yeah,
And it's got that
Oh,
doll
yes.
with no eyes, and she's holding the eyeballs in her hands. I love that movie now. It's a great movie. Also Dead Alive,
mm-hmm.
where
That-
the woman's pulling her mouth open, and
Yes.
there's this, yes. Oh my gosh. Those two haunted my dreams as a kid, but I love them both now.
Off the top of my head, it's kind of hard for me if you got, but like I bet if someone like you said Dead Alive, I'm like, oh yes, I remember that very vividly. I always remembered Graveyard Shift
Yep.
Oh yeah,
with the miner hat and the skull. That
Yep.
always freaked me out as a kid. And one of my favorites was I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where it was Jesse and the girl embracing, but he
Yeah.
had like the Freddy face and the claw. I see. Do you see?
I'm looking at my back wall to
Yeah.
see which things I can remember there.
I had two more. One of them is Return of the Dead 2, where it's kind of like that skull above
Return
the
of
house.
the Dead or Return of the Living Dead?
Sorry, Return of the Living Dead,
Okay.
Yeah.
where it's like the skull over the house.
hmm
And then also, I think it's one. I'm not sure exactly which one, but it's one of the dentist movies
Oh, the dentist movies
with
Yeah,
the
those
mouth
covers used to
with
freak me
razors
out.
and stuff. Dude. Oh, that
Yeah,
freaks
the
me
razor
out.
mouth. Yeah.
Oh God, just thinking of it. Dr. Giggles.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
Dr.
really
Giggles.
great cover. There's a weird and Jody actually might have sent you this VHS, Cthulhu Mansion,
Oh yeah. I remember that.
which
one.
has it's a half skull with like a mansion in the skull. I thought it was really cool. And then I've talked about this movie before, which I still have in VHS, Necronomicon.
Yeah.
I thought a really cool VHS cover.
Evil Dead
Um,
2 was another one I always
yes.
really liked.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies anyway, but that skull with the eyeballs in it, yeah, Dead by Dawn.
It's something I kind of miss about that era. Was like as a metalhead, I would go by metal records sometimes just based on the album artwork and
Oh,
the
yeah.
label and the label it was released on. And I did the same with horror films. Like I think a lot of these horror films were very creative with their cassette covers because they had to attract an audience.
Right.
Like there wasn't a big word of mouth or Rotten Tomatoes or
Or YouTube to
bloody
look up.
disgusting or bloody good
reviews.
horror to look up these reviews. You kind of see that's a cool cover.
That's a cool cover. Yeah,
Let me
that's how
give
I
this a
rented.
shot.
That's how I rented stuff.
Yeah. Man, and I'm not gonna be one of those guys like, oh, it was so better back then. It's pretty cool. I can load up Shudder and watch like 30 horror films that I don't have to go to the Blockbuster for and rent it $2 a piece.
I
No,
mean,
it's-
yeah, you can still
it's
scroll through.
definitely-
You can still scroll through Shudder and look at the posters there.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely better now. I loved especially as a teenager and a college student going to the video store because I'm one of these people who would go to the video store to pick up a movie. I'd spend an hour browsing. Like I would just
Same
walk
boat,
through
dude.
the aisles forever looking at movies before I found what I wanted. But it's pretty nice to be able to sit on my couch and do the same thing.
Yes, very much.
It's
so.
actually really nice to do that.
Yes.
All right. I think that wraps up another episode. Next week we will be reviewing In the Groove. We appreciate everyone for listening. We'd really appreciate if you'll give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify. Check out our Patreon for bonus content. Also check out our YouTube page for videos of these podcasts. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Keep rolling.
Yeah.
What you gonna do now?
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.